Star Wars! The Bad Batch Episode 2, Cut and Run. For Bad Batch, visit an old contact. So it appears that these episodes are going to be 25 minutes long, which is a kind of a nice change of pace, considering that most programming I've been watching lately has been 45 minutes or more. So the Bad Batch go and visit their old friend, the Deserter, who I've already forgotten the name of from the Clone Wars, who we saw, I think, twice in the Clone Wars. We saw him in the episode that was based on him, and then we also saw him, I think, in the final season that they made last year. I think there was a point where Rex went and saw him and he referenced that in this episode, or maybe that happened off screen and I'm misremembering, and that kind of reminds me to touch on a point that I wanted to talk about, which is one of the reasons why I do these thoughts-ons, is because my memory is awful for stuff like this. Like, I watched the final series of the Clone Wars, in fact I watched the entirety of the Clone Wars last year, and I've already forgotten stuff like this, where he's like, oh yeah, Rex came and spoke to me the other day. I'm like, wait, Rex went and spoke to him? Was that in the show? Or was it not? I don't remember anymore. So basically, this is the Bad Batch rewarding people for having watched the Clone Wars first, and as someone who watched the Clone Wars first, I don't get the reward of it. I don't get to go, oh yeah, I remember this, because it turns out that for the most part I don't. I remember the guy, I remember his family, and I remember the planet he's on, but I don't remember any of the plot surrounding him at all. I don't know why he's not got a problem with the inhibitor chip. I don't know if Rex came and took it out of him, or if maybe he did, I don't remember. My memory sucks, but either way it was nice to see him again, and it seems like kind of a natural place for the plot to go after the Bad Batch realised that they were no longer welcome as clone troopers. This episode obviously focused on Omega and her place within the Bad Batch family, and how she's not a soldier, she's a kid, and she doesn't really belong with them, but the episode sorts that out by the end by just shoving her with them anyway, because I guess that's something we'll figure out as we go along. I'm not a huge fan of her so far, and I get that she's like... I get that this isn't necessarily a show just for adults, and she's like the kid's perspective in the show, and it's cool the thing they do where she's never seen dirt before, and that's true to her character and all that kind of a thing. But also in this episode she felt a lot like a liability and someone who's constantly going to be getting in peril, so that the clone troopers or the Bad Batch have a reason to go running off to do the B plot of the episode, you know. But maybe that's just me being cynical. Don't be cynical, Christian, that's not fun. I still haven't seen anything to dissuade me from the idea that she might be Palpatine's daughter, but I did notice the fact that her eyes were brown, and therefore she might just be another clone who shares the same DNA with the rest of them, I don't know. But then are Palpatine's eyes brown? Well, Palpatine's eyes are yellow, but were his eyes brown before, when he was Sheev, when he was Counselor Palpatine? I don't know. But the hairstyle's slightly reminiscent of his in a way, right? Right? Am I just like... pushing this crackpot theory that's nowhere near correct? When the creature from that planet was attacking her after she went beyond the fence, I was thinking, if she like shows some force powers or some shit now, people are gonna be so mad, because they've come here for troopers. They've come here for a show about defective clone troopers, and it's finally a Star Wars show that isn't gonna have anything to do with Jedi, and that's what The Mandalorian was until it wasn't. And if she does turn out to be Palpatine's clone, and she has force powers, people are gonna be like, come on! I wouldn't mind, no, I guess. But I mean, it kind of is treading the same plot as some of the stuff in The Mandalorian, so maybe I would mind, I don't know. I mean, when you think about it, this is kind of very similar to The Mandalorian's relationship with, I shall call him Baby Yoda, to avoid spoilers, but it's a kind of a similar relationship they're building up with Hunter and Omega. I bet there's already a YouTube video out there somewhere ranting about the Disneyfication of the Star Wars universe and how it's all about familial relationships now, completely negating the fact that it was always about familial relationships in the first place. But I digress. I like how the Deserter dude wears this big hat when he's out and around town so that the other clone troopers don't recognise him as a clone. But Hunter just fucking goes around like he normally does and nobody suspects a thing. Maybe that's just because he's got kind of a unique hairstyle and facial tattoos and stuff like that, but I thought it was a little bit weird. They did make a point of having him almost get caught at the very end of the episode, like, hey, wait a minute, you look like, and then luckily, oh no, we need to leave, kind of thing. Oh, here we go. I think this is the point in the episode where I really realised that I was starting to dislike Omega, when she is sat in this ship and she overhears Tech and the other guys, I'm slowly learning their name, when she hears their plans to get the ship purposefully what's the word, impounded, and she decides to continue sitting on the ship to go with them, and she's already been in danger once, and she realised she didn't like that, and she realised that the clone troopers didn't like that either, and she sits there and lets herself get put in danger again. That's the point when I realised I didn't like Omega, you little shit. She's literally crying over the fact that people were upset with her for putting herself in danger, and then she immediately puts herself in danger again. What's up with that? I think my favourite part of this episode is what continues to be my favourite part of this show, which is watching the Republic change into the Empire and the changes that come about it. It's super interesting to see clone troopers moving about and acting like stormtroopers, because again, I don't know if this was in the old canon in comics or whatever, but this is the first time I've seen something like this. And I know that stormtroopers aren't clone troopers, like they do get swapped out at some point, but to see the inhibitor chips working, and like I guess that's what the inhibitor chips are, right? They're not just to enact Order 66, it's to do whatever their superiors tell them to do. And so to see them acting kind of thuggishly, to see them acting like exactly how you would expect stormtroopers to looking almost like stormtroopers, is really cool to me. Obviously not cool within the context of a universe, that's not cool. That kind of behaviour is bad, but as a fan of the you know what I mean. It's also super interesting to hear about how every citizen has to have like a code now, and you can see like the way the Empire is already starting to categorize people and treat people differently. And again, I hope the show just does not hold back on exploring that era of the Star Wars universe, because again, it's not something I've seen a lot of, and I'm really excited to see more of it. The final action was fine, although again, I was annoyed with Omega for suddenly being like, no, I want to stay with the people who are going to endanger me. And then Hunter's resolution at the end, instead of being like, well, kid, I guess you're stuck with us now. It's a dangerous world, okay? So, you know, I care about you and I'm gonna look out for you, but this isn't safe for you. Instead, he was just like, well, this is where you want to be, huh? Well, alright then. Like, what kind of resolution is that? But yeah, the action at the end was fine. I thought it was interesting to see that the Bad Batch were straight up killing clone troopers at the end there. I'm pretty sure those phases were no longer set to stun, because I saw bolts hitting people and people going down. I thought there might be a little more gravitas attached to the idea that they're killing their brothers, but it looks like that was not the case. Who knows, maybe the fact that it was blue laser fire means it was just like a more long range stun. I don't know. But yeah, Omega very predictably goes, no, I'm not gonna go and live a peaceful life, I'm gonna go put myself in danger, and go with Bad Batch, and then they escape and fly away, and that scene, and then credits. So yeah, I'm not gonna stick around for any longer than is necessary. Those were my thoughts on episode 2. Thank you for listening, let me know what you thought, and I will see you next week.